we must take responsibility and accept our failures in dealing with these matters. For me, when I'm watching on television and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just... Well, thank you.
Why don't you sit down, sir?
I've been sitting down for a long time. I want to rest from that. But let me say, I followed what was being discussed for the short time I've been here. And I think there are good points being made about conflicts, the causes, and possible way forward in resolving them. But of course, what is very common is there will be old conflicts and old causes of the conflicts. There will also be new kinds of conflicts, as has been said, and possibly new causes as well. But what has been mentioned by the panelists that is important, the constant should be the kind of politics, the kind of leadership, the governance in place so that these old or emerging causes or conflicts can be resolved. This is key. And another way to look at it also and raise a question which we must answer is, for so long, we've discussed conflicts, causes of conflicts, and actually have quite a good idea as to what is needed for such a conflict to be resolved. Now, the question is, if we have analyzed conflicts and the causes, if we really have a good idea what all this constitutes, then what? So it comes, therefore, to the point that the leaders, therefore, should be there to deal with these problems. And here I'm not even proposing that there is one leader who can resolve conflicts alone, or that there is even a silver bullet for these conflicts. Therefore, it's the management of all these processes and what we have identified to be the root causes. But of course, when it comes to Africa, I'm sure many people in this audience will have made the same observations. I think we must take responsibility and accept our failures in dealing with these matters. For example, relating to what President Obasanjo has just said, on the case of Boko Haram, or you can use that for many other cases. For me, when I'm watching on television and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just... It's like they are made to sit down and address their problems. Why does anybody wait for that? What image does it even give about us, about Africa? In fact, the image it gives is that we are not there to even address these problems. We are there for a photo opportunity. We are happy to sit there in Paris with the President of France and address and just talk about addressing problems. It doesn't make sense that our leaders cannot get themselves together to address problems affecting our people. It doesn't make sense. Of course, I'm saying this painfully. On the other hand, that I look forward for the time when I can be like the two former presidents. I think they are more free to say things than I do. Being where they are and me being where I am. So I tend to remain with some reservations about what I have to say because, but I think there is that serious problem. African leaders, we don't need to be invited anywhere to go and address our problems without first inviting ourselves to come together to tell each other the actual truth that we must tell each other about our serious problems. So, I mean, again, look at the problem of South Sudan, indeed. The first problem was about this country and the people there wanting to be independent. They got independence. Now that turned into a problem. How? So you have one war being fought, waged to be independent, then you have to fight another when you have achieved independence. Just fighting among themselves. Why? So some of these underlying root causes should and could have been addressed by the leaders there. Whatever happened, whoever was wrong, that's not the issue. It is still the responsibility of leaders. If they can't resolve the matters themselves, why not? Why not call upon neighbors to say, come and help? We have a problem here. Maybe there is a problem between the president and the vice president. And if they can't resolve it, and each one thinks he's the one who is right and the other is wrong, and they are going to divide the army and government and everybody else to go on either side and start fighting, well, I think in between the time that starts and when it actually happens, something can be done. But it has to be leaders to work towards that and avoid the catastrophe that, like we are seeing or have seen or that has already happened in South Sudan. But of course, the unfortunate part is that the most majority who suffer are the innocent people who have nothing to do with it. Women, children, and even many men are innocent in that situation. So this is, I'm not giving answers, probably I'm raising more questions than, or adding to others that have been raised. So for the time being, let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allow me the privilege to be unconventional in this discussion. You started with a very provocative question, which really was, I think, intended to have us thinking beyond what we are used to. And in this case, I think the panelists have gone along the lines of things we are used to. And I start with the point you made when you were asking the question of preference between the markets and the aid. And I think there was grossing over the problem, and people saying, you see, we need both, and it was as if there was none that was better than the other, and so on and so forth. This is a blunder. Number one, first of all, this question can only be asked in Africa, not in any other region of this world. Which in itself tells you that there is something wrong even with the way people are arguing the case. Because it is now a given that aid and capital markets, are the same. You see, it's not, you can't say you don't need this. I mean, first, aid is more political than anything else. Markets are less political, markets are neutral. Look at the rest of the world. The only thing you're talking about, why you highlight aid, sometimes that to the point that if you say anything about aid, it may be used against you. You see, this is the only place we can be having this conversation. But at the same time, the panelist from Tanzania has made a good point. He illustrated all kinds of wealth lying all over the place from Africa and being recycled to us in a form of aid, and then in the end telling you, you must be humble, you must keep quiet. Don't say some of these things. I mean, what are we talking about here, honestly?
Mr. President, do you want to come take over the moderation, sir?
So, I think I have to come in early a little bit before the others so that maybe they try and change their arguments a little bit and move in another direction. So, yes, let's not be diplomatic, let's not gloss over issues, let's not, markets are markets. We know what they have for us, outweighing what we have in aid by thousands of times, please. So why do we leave something here that we know is more important for us by any measure and account? And then we start saying, no, but let's not even make a comparison. You see, we need both, Okay, so I rest my case.